So everyone knows you need security for your WordPress site, but not everyone knows what the layered approach to security is. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 ways you can apply layered security to your WordPress site, coming up next. Okay, so first off, what is layered security? Layered security is simply a fancy way of saying you need different layers of security for whatever it is that you're trying to protect. So in this case, since we're trying to protect a WordPress site, we need to make sure we have different levels of protection in place. Now, this might sound complicated, this might sound hard, but it's really not. So I'm going to take you step by step, and we're going to cover 5 different layers that you can put in place today on your WordPress site, so that way you can make sure your WordPress site is safe from hackers. All right, so layer number 1 is your password. So passwords are often overlooked. Passwords are something that it seems to be a little bit inconvenient when it comes to managing anything on the internet. Like people tend to make up passwords that are easy to remember, but passwords that are easy to remember are also easy to guess, and that means it's also easy for a hacker to hack your website. So a lot of times, again, people overlook passwords as being something that's very basic, very simple, but it provides a very critical piece of protection to your website. So the best practice in this case is to apply a password to whatever it is on the internet that is complicated and hard to guess. And usually the best practice is you need to make sure your password that you're putting in place is long. So there's a couple ways you can do this. One is you can pick something that's called a passphrase. So a passphrase has the advantage of being long, and it has the advantage of being easy to remember. So for example, a passphrase could be a basic sentence like, I left my lunch in the refrigerator last week and Charles ate it. Now, that's really long. That might not be that easy to remember either, but you kind of get the point. Length wins here. So it might even be something along the lines of, I always lose my keys and can never find them. That's also a long password. It might be easier to remember because if you always lose your keys, then that's something that you're not going to forget very easily, unless you do, which that would be another issue. But regardless, that's something that you can put in place quickly and easily on your site. Now, with a passphrase, the other thing you can do is you can also have a more complicated password. You can make up letters and numbers, but the problem with that is it's really hard for you to remember. You're going to forget, you're going to write it down on a Post-it note, you're going to lose the Post-it note. Someone else is going to find the Post-it note potentially, and your cousin's going to come over and say, oh, I'm going to mess with Charles today. I mean, you just need to avoid that situation altogether. So another thing you can do to make having a secure password nice and simple to remember, simple to use, is use something like a password manager. Now, there are different password managers out on the market. Some are free, like KeePass. You can download that to your computer and start using it today. And other ones are paid services like LastPass or Dashlane. Those are great because you can share those across multiple people. So if you have a family, if you and your spouse or your loved ones need access to passwords as well, then you can share that. So Password Manager makes it really quick and easy to have complex passwords for anything really, and be able to use those quickly, effectively, and basically the Password Manager will just go through and enter your password on the service that you're trying to log into. So password managers are a great solution to help make sure that layer is secure on your WordPress site. Next, we have making sure your plugins and WordPress is up to date. This, again, is something that's easily overlooked, but it's something that's very important that you need to do. So WordPress always has updates, just like any other application, and also the plugins that are associated with WordPress always have updates because code is always changing and people are always finding new vulnerabilities or new security holes in WordPress and in the plugins. And that's just common. That's something that's inherent to software. So there's always going to be that issue that comes up as new features are added, new vulnerabilities are found, or even sometimes really, really old vulnerabilities or security holes are found in applications that have been around for a long time. It's just no one has ever found it. So the risk here is if you have things that are out of date, someone could find an old WordPress site and they know that they have, a hacker could have a list of things that they could try and apply to the WordPress site to hack into it. So if someone's trying to attack your website and you have that issue on your site because it's not patched, then that's an easy in for hackers. So best practice here, I would log in once or twice a week, make sure that your WordPress site is up to date, and it just takes a few seconds to make sure everything is current. The other alternative you have is some hosts actually do WordPress updates automatically. So if you have a web host that will take care of that for you, just make sure that's turned on and you don't have to worry about it. Another thing with plugins is to make sure that all the plugins that you have installed and enabled on your WordPress site you're actually using. Sometimes we'll go out, we'll download a plugin, we'll try it, we'll realize that it's not something we really want or use, and we'll just leave it on, or we'll deactivate it and we'll just leave it sitting there on the WordPress site. This is another way that hackers can use to actually get into your WordPress site and attack your website. So what you need to make sure here is you need to make sure to check and make sure that all the plugins that you have installed are enabled, and the ones that aren't enabled you need to delete. Again, a really easy practice here. It's just something that a lot of people overlook, and you need to make sure that you're taking care of, so that way it keeps your site that much safer from the everyday hacker. Make sure your WordPress site uses SSL, or a security certificate, on the website itself. So I can't tell you how easy it is for someone to capture the username and password to log into a website if they want to, and the WordPress site does not have SSL enabled. So SSL is that little indication on the address bar that says HTTPS, or has the little lock icon. If you don't have that on your website, you need to get that today, because what happens is once you log into your website, all of those credentials are sent back and forth in something called clear text, which means anybody can read it. So if someone's actually looking for information on how to get into your site and you log in as administrator on your website, it is really, really easy for someone to read that information, save it, and use it at a later time. So make sure you have a security certificate installed from a security perspective, and also having a security certificate installed, again, an SSL certificate installed, is something that also helps Google ranking. So if that's something that's important to you, make sure that you have SSL in place. Again, there are a lot of different providers that can issue an SSL certificate. One of those is called Let's Encrypt. So Let's Encrypt will actually issue SSL certificates for free, which is awesome. And really here, just from a security perspective, just making sure your site is secure, that's all you really need. So Let's Encrypt is a great resource. And also some web hosts offer that option for free as well. They'll actually get a security certificate for you from Let's Encrypt. So having a web host that will do that automatically for you is great. It's something else that you don't have to worry about. Not all of them do, so be sure to check and make sure you know what to do in your specific case. You always want to make sure you have a backup in place, not only from a standpoint of making sure your website's secure and if it gets hacked that you can restore it, but also if you install a plugin that ends up breaking your website, or you do an update that ends up breaking your website. If you have a backup in place, you can restore that backup quickly and easily and get back up and running without a lot of downtime. Now, if you're restoring a website that's been hacked from a backup, you need to try and figure out why your website was hacked, so that way it doesn't get hacked again. Again, if you have a really good web host, you can work with that team to figure out what happened with your website, and they can give you some recommendations on how to fix it. For a backup solution, sometimes Webhost provides backups for free. Other times you'll have to get a plugin to do that and take care of it yourself. If you're looking for a plugin, one that I highly recommend is called Updraft. Updraft is a really great plugin that I've had great experience with, that will help make sure your website is backed up on a regular basis, and you can even upload it to different cloud service providers like Google Drive or OneDrive in the interface. So it's a really great option if your host doesn't provide backup services on their own. And last but not least, you need to make sure that you have a good web host. A good web host can do a lot of the things that I talked about already in the video, like making sure your website is secure with an SSL certificate, making sure your site is patched and updated, and also making sure that your site is backed up. Not only that, a good web host should also provide a couple other services. One is malware scanning. That's basically like antivirus for your WordPress site. It just goes through and makes sure everything is okay, that there aren't any viruses or aren't any malware on your website. And if there is something on there, they will send you an alert or they will fix it themselves. The other thing that you need to make sure is that they have a solution called DDoS protection. And what that means is if a hacker or someone's trying to take your website down and prevent other people from getting to your website in a denial of service attack, that the host will actually be able to help prevent that. So this is really important if you have an e-commerce website or if you're sending traffic to a website for other reasons. You need to make sure your website is up and running, and if someone's trying to take it down, having a web host that can help prevent that is fantastic. Last but not least, you need to make sure that the web host is responsive with their support and that they can actually help you. There's a lot of cheap hosting out there that's available that it's cheap for a reason, right? They don't provide a lot of these services. They just have a place for you to stick your website. But at the end of the day, you need something, if you're making a website, you need something that's out there that's reliable, and you're doing it for a reason, right? You want people to be able to get to it, and you want it to be up and running, and you don't want to have to worry about all of these issues from a security side. If you're looking for a web host recommendation, I highly recommend WPX Hosting. They're a great WordPress host. They only do WordPress hosting, so they're dedicated to only fixing and hosting WordPress websites. I've had some really great experience with them. They offer all the things that I've talked about in this video, and they aren't the cheapest solution, but they aren't the most expensive either. They're actually, to me, they're really affordable, especially given the features that they provide. And I've also had to contact their support services a couple times for some minor things, enabling some things on the back end. I'll just leave it at that. And their response was very, very fast. And I'd say it was less than, in all cases, it was less than 10 minutes. One case it was under 5 minutes. So very responsive. Can't recommend them enough. If you're looking for a web host that provides you a little bit of additional security, I'd go with them. If you like a list of everything that I talked about here, be sure to go to my website, basicinfosecurity.com. I'll have an article, or I'll have a link in the description below to an article that will lay everything out that I talked about here, so that way you can reference it easily. All right, if you found this video helpful, I hope that you did. I can't talk today. If you found this video helpful, I hope that you did. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment below. Let me know what other things you'd like to hear about from a security side, and what I can do to help make sure that your life is secure. All right, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.